How have we become so comfortable with having a president completely bypass Congress to be able to implement his policy agendas? I'm Dr. Duke, and this is Constitutional Corner. On Constitution Corner, we really like to take a look at the consequences and the benefits of the Constitution and what kind of stress we find ourselves. It seems to me that this is a time of stress for the Constitution. We have a president who's been in office for a week. He signed almost 30 executive orders. Prior to this, the ambitious and not always constitutionally interested Barack Obama was the president who had signed the most in his first couple of days, and that was 6. So we're talking almost 5 times as many executive orders as any of the previous presidents. We're in a little bit danger here of having an autocratic executive. How have we become so comfortable with having a president completely bypass Congress to be able to implement his policy agendas?
I would say the quick answer, Duke, is that we've forgotten our own heritage. We've forgotten that we have a Constitution, and we've forgotten what the purpose of that Constitution is. But the good news is all we have to do is reacquaint people with the Constitution and with the principles of sound government, and we can turn these things around. And Congress could do that for one thing. Congress could get back to the Constitution. Now, I wouldn't hold your breath over the next couple years, but there are other methods is too, and those methods certainly include the states. We should keep in mind that when office holders take an oath to uphold the Constitution, those office holders include not just U.S. congressmen, not just U.S. representatives and senators. They also include state legislators, for example. And there's a reason for that. There's a reason they take that oath, because they too, in their official duties, are pledging to uphold that Constitution. And what those office holders can do is they can use the proper power of nullification to declare null and void abuses of the Constitution, not just by President Biden, not just by these unconstitutional executive overreach, but also legislative overreach and judicial overreach as well. They can say that these things no longer apply at our state borders.
Right, even the Supreme Court, which not only have we beginning to buy this myth of an autocratic president, right, who has these superpowers that don't have to be ran through House or Senate, Congress. We also have this blatant belief that when the Supreme Court says something, it's over, right? That the Supreme Court job is to tell us what we can and can't do, and that's not true either. And so explain where in the Constitution people would find nullification. Anybody who wants to go read more about this, what is the constitutional basis for the idea of nullifying?
Well, there are several aspects to it, but one is that we are a government, at least on a national level, a government of enumerated powers. Those powers, as James Madison, the father of the Constitution, explained, are very few, and they're specific. And all other powers of government are reserved to the peoples and to the states. And that is, in fact, explicitly stated in the 10th Amendment to the Constitution. So if that power is not granted, it is unconstitutional for what we today call the federal government or the national government to exercise those powers. And in fact, another thing too is that Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution guarantees to every state in the Union a Republican form of government, not a democracy, but a Republican form of government. And the difference is fundamental, because a democracy is a government of men, a republic is a government of law. And the Constitution is the highest law. And the Congress, which is the legislative branch of the government, which is the only branch of the federal government entrusted to pass, to make law, make legislation. But that power of the legislature is not unlimited. The legislative power is only based on those enumerated powers in the Constitution. So the legislature cannot do anything at once. It cannot pass any law at once. It is restricted to those enumerated powers.
So it's interesting about that is it's not just what Biden may do with an executive order that can be nullified. If the government is not doing one of the few things it's supposed to do, that can be nullified. This is the remarkable thing about the Constitution. One of the few things that the federal government is charged with in the Constitution is looking after our borders.
Yes.
Clearly, Biden isn't, right? He's writing executive order after executive order to open it, to broaden it, to kill off monitoring it. And so there's the ability there is to nullify in that case as well.
Exactly. So we are a system of checks and balances, and we have a separation of powers, and it's just applying that Constitution. If we do that, we can save our country.
Yeah, and people got to wake up and see that the American people have to want this, right? They need to know that it is our government, we the people, for the people, by the people. If we allow party politics to dictate this, it's a lost cause. If we return to a demand for citizen government, we have a chance to reverse this. Gary Benoit, editor of The New American, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.